last time we had gotten down to Schoen's description of the method of loci, and if you remember that, then it was about thinking of a path that you know really well. And do you guys remember the path from my office? So I walk out of my office, and the elevator doors open, and out comes... Oh my God, you remembered. Okay, and I go down by the bookstore, and there's stacks and stacks of butter, that's right. And then there's stuff all over the road on Cortlandt Street. It's breadcrumbs, right. And then walking up the stairs, woo, watch out for Macaulay Culkin's bags of kitty litter. Exactly. Wonderful. So the method of loci works. But then he has this thing called the Phonetic Peg System, and it's baffling, I have to tell you. Let's read here. The Phonetic Peg System uses a code in which numeric values are replaced by phonemes. What? Okay. I'm reading this. I don't understand this at all. What should I do? What? Sorry? What? Somebody said you were right. I couldn't hear. Yes, look it up. So we're going to go to the dictionary, and I have to remind my... Oh, look, there it is, a phoneme. Any of the perceptually distinct units of sound in a specified language that distinguish one word from another. For example, p, b, d, and t. Those are letters, but I mean, I actually did know what a phoneme was. So I know that they're referring to the sounds p, b, d, and t, and how they're different from the letters, because we have letters that have more than one sound, and letter combinations that make even more, and things like that. So this Phonetic Peg System uses a code where numeric values are replaced by phonemes. The author actually means the opposite. Phonemes are replaced by numbers. Each number referring to a specific set of sounds. E.g., for example, 1 is the sound replaced by the voiced plosive d. That's actually a linguistic term. And, okay, well, what if I didn't know that? Well, I'd go back to the dictionary and look up what a plosive is. Okay, a plosive is a consonant that's produced by stopping the airflow using the lips, teeth, or palate, followed by a sudden release of air. The basic plosives in English are t, k, p, and d, g, and b. All right. The dictionary is very useful. And everybody, you probably have one on your phone by now. I don't know. They're very easy to find. Finding dictionaries is easy. Okay, I'm almost done understanding this. So 1 is the sound represented by the voice plosive d, or its voiceless twin t. You don't need to know what voices are to know that in this code, 1 is a substitute for d and t. And 5 is the sound of l, with vowels added as one chooses to produce a wide range of peg words. I'm not going to look up peg words right now. I'm going to keep reading. 1, 5, 15 may be dial or tile or tile. Oh, sorry, that's tail. Tail or tile. And cites Higbee again because Higbee explained this. So I'm going to write a note here saying that this is a complicated code using numbers coding for sounds. And that's what phonetic peg is. Recall is accomplished by visualizing the peg corresponding to the item number and seeing its paired item. I don't know what that means. Recall, so when you recall it, I'm starting to think that if you learn a list of peg words and then you pair each peg with an item to be remembered. So here they're saying that instead of thinking of a path, you have a whole nother list of words, right, that you have to memorize and match each one to another list of words you're supposed to remember. So match new words to words to be remembered and use number code to memorize the code word list. So you have some list of what he's calling peg words, and you've got to match each of the. It's sort of it. This sounds like a very, very complicated system. And let's come back to that. Questions so far? Comments? The what now? Okay, so do you remember the experiment you guys were in? And who used the Monopoly board in here? Okay, so not everybody. What did the other people do? What you were supposed to look at the list, and did she tell you? She told you to memorize the words? Yeah. Okay. So the Monopoly people did something different. We're going to look and if you weren't in that group, we'll read what happened because we use the same method as in this paper. The folks who were just memorizing the words, what if you were asked to have another list of words and match them together? Like, so the first word, I forget what your first word was. Something funny, I thought it was. What? A hammer? Piano was the first word. And then underwear, I think, yeah, that's funny. So piano and underwear. Those are the first two words. You'd come up with a new word, like baseball. All right, would be the first word. And baseball you'd match with piano. Only you would come up with the number code for the word baseball. And B would be like number 1, and S, the vowels you substitute in later. So B is number 1 and S is number 8. And then there's another B, so it's 1, 8, 1, and then L is 5, right? L is 5. So 1, 8, 1, 5. You remember 1, 8, 1, 5. B, S, B, L. Baseball. Piano. Does that sound complicated? Yeah. Do you think that would help you remember something? No. You don't think that it would, but it's really interesting. The way that memory works is that the more associations, and sometimes the more bizarre the associations that there are between things that you memorize, or among many different things that you memorize, the stronger and the longer lasting that memory is. Provided you've got enough time to, actually commit those things to memory. You're going to remember the kitty litter thing coming down the stairwell for a really long time, just because that's weird. And if you've seen the Home Alone movie, then you're connecting it with that memory and this other stuff, along with a map that you guys have of campus and pathways and things like that. So that method of loci is perhaps a really powerful memory aid. But maybe the phonetic peg one is too, because it's creating sort of a network of relationships among things. Number codes, word lists, other word lists. Exactly. And it's like it's making connections between things. And that it turns out that's how memory works. So feel free to use that in your other classes when you're trying to memorize stuff. Okay. Let's read on. Systems don't always fit well within class instruction. One can visualize a path. Method of loci is daunting when the number of locations is more than 20. The method works best when you can move from locus to locus, like actually walk from my office over here. When a field trip is impractical, classroom demonstration can fail if you don't have enough, if you have not acquired a full set of loci, if you don't have enough locations in mind. And along a short path, you probably don't have 40 different locations, right? The phonetics, okay, so what is this? The method of loci is not ideal for an in-class demo. How about that? Okay. The phonetic peg system's elaborate rules, check. Yeah, it's complicated. Presuppose some knowledge of phonetics. So yeah, I actually knew enough about linguistics to maybe put that into practice, but not everybody knows that. Psychology students can't be expected to possess the required knowledge. Whether learning of series or places or list of peg words, you must first commit the system to memory. Check this. Okay, so basically he's saying phonetic peg is complicated, difficult to learn. Oops. A frequent student complaint is the circularity of needing a mnemonic system in order to acquire a mnemonic system. All right, so you need, you need a memory trick to learn the rules to this memory trick. One can ease into a mnemonic system with simpler techniques using mnemonics to teach mnemonics. That mnemonic would maintain the power of the method of loci in the phonetic peg system, but easier to acquire. Any highly structured, overlearned domain of knowledge can be used as loci or pegs to store memories. That's important. Any highly structured, overlearned domain of knowledge can be used, whether it's the images of one's relatives or the mascot of each team in the National Football League. For a classroom demonstration, one needs a shared experience that has a well-organized structure. The board from the game Monopoly satisfies these needs. Okay, so it sounds like to me they're talking about using the Monopoly board as a method of loci map. So who in here had never played Monopoly before? It's okay if you've never played or seen the board before. So everybody's seen it before. And do you guys know the board pretty well? What's the first space on the Monopoly board? No, where you start. You start at go, exactly. If you go 10 spaces, then you're just visiting. But that's where the jail is, that's right. 10 more spaces and you're at free parking. Another 10, that's go to jail. And then another 10, you're back to go. 5 spaces from go is do you know what railroad it is? Yeah, Reading, I think, because it refers to Pennsylvania. So I think that's the Reading Railroad. And then the next railroad is I think it's B&O too. The last one's Pennsylvania, isn't it? It's B&O?
No.
So Pennsylvania is the second one? What's the second one? The other one, the third one? The short line, yeah. That's
B&O is the last one.
okay. And let's see. Let's say you're in just visiting, and you go 2 spaces. What are you at? Not Waterworks, but the electric company. Waterworks is the next utility. Okay, so this is totally going to work because everybody has this map of the Monopoly board in their head without even looking at it. You know what spaces are where. So yeah, it's true. You might be hard-pressed to come up with 40 different locations, even if your commute to campus is really long. But you guys already know a map with 40 locations on it. So it looks like he's talking about using the Monopoly board as a map for the method of loci. And you've got all these different locations, and most people know the order of them. And if you looked at the board, you'd remember everything. Go, Mediterranean, Baltic, Chance, Luxury Tax, Reading Railroad, Connecticut, Chance. No, it's Community Chest is the first one, then Chance, and then what are those other blue ones? Vermont and Atlantic, and so on and so forth. And you could work your way around the board and associate piano and underwear and all the other words with the different spaces on the board. And then when you see the board, or even visualize it, it should be better. So that's what these whole next couple of paragraphs are about. The board's easy to visualize. It has 4 sets of 10 locations. You can organize it in a lot of ways, like by forts or colors or the strategic play value. Okay, only a Monopoly nerd would do that. Monopoly's been a part of popular culture. It's in 23 languages. So even if you're not that familiar with the board's layout, you've seen it before and you can use it too. So I'm not going to make any notes here. This is just sort of justifying what I already know about the Monopoly board. And check, it's definitely used. He definitely wants to use it as a method of loci map. So this part of the paper is the demonstration, but in the assignment that I would give for this paper, I'm really only interested in the evaluation. So here is where it begins. This is actually the methods part. And so I want to make a note of that we're definitely talking about methods here. To compare Monopoly Nemopoly. Ugh, so awkward. With the method of loci and the phonetic peg system. So it looks like there's three groups. The method of loci, phonetic peg system, and Nemopoly, which is kind of the method of loci, but they're using the Monopoly board. With their appropriate game boards, campus maps, or peg word lists, they are presented 40 words and allowed 10 minutes to encode them. So there's a 40-word list. Well, wait a minute. With their appropriate game boards, campus maps, where does campus map fit in here in these groups? Yeah, so it looks like one of the groups is using the method of loci with a map of campus, because this dude is at Lake Forest College. He's on a campus, right? The Monopoly group gets game boards, and the Phonetic Peg System group gets a code word list in addition to their 40 words. They're allowed 10 minutes each to encode them? You think you're going to do that with the Phonetic Peg System? So memorize for 10 minutes. When all 8 students in each group, so 3 groups, 8 students per group. Each reference board, map, or peg word list was removed. Students then attempted to recall the complete set of words. Okay. So they, it says 10 minutes to encode them. So they recall immediately after they memorized them, right? And they returned 1 week later. To attempt a second recall. An analysis of variance of this 3x2 mixed design, I have no idea what that means, because we haven't gotten to factorial designs in this class, and so you don't know what a mixed design is, but that's okay. All you need to know at this point is significant main effects for both mnemonic system, and P is less than 0.001. Okay? And time, P is less than 0.001, as well as a significant interaction. I don't know what that means. I haven't finished the course yet. You will know what it means, but I don't know what that means yet. P less than 0.02. Here's the important part. Simple effects tests indicated that in both recall conditions, all 3 mnemonic groups differed significantly. Oops. Now, it says see table 2 for means and standard deviations. Let's zoom in on that for a second. Oops. Okay, what's on this table? Time, mnemonic system. Okay, I see the 3 systems, Mnemopoly, method of loci, phonetic peg. Here's the 2 times. Immediate, that's when they were called right after, and then 1 week delay. And M means the mean, yeah, the average or the mean. And SD means, yeah, just like it says down here, see table 2 for means and standard deviations. And mean number of items. Okay, Mnemopoly, immediate, mean 38.8. Out of how many words? Right. Method of loci, 31.3. Phonetic peg, 21.1. And what did it say down here? Significant differences among all 3 groups. At both time points. So Nemopoly, the Nemopoly group, those students on average recalled more words, significantly more words than the methyloci group and the phonetic peg group. And the methyloci group's better than the phonetic peg group at both time points. After a 1 week delay, Monopoly 36.6, methyloci 30.9, phonetic peg 15. That's pretty good, actually, for looking at them for 10 minutes. So again, the Monopoly group recalled more words. Than either of the other groups. Within mnemonic groups, both the Nemopoly and the phonetic peg systems decreased significantly over time. I think what they're trying to say is that the groups forgot words over time, but the methyloci group did not. Let's look at that. So we went from 38.8 down to 36.3. So that's a significant decrease, just because they said so. Methyloci went from 31.3 to 30.9, and that's not significant. That's what they're trying to say. And 21.1 down to 15 is significant. Okay, so the methyloci group did not forget a significant number of words, I think is what they're trying to say. You guys agree so far? I don't know what that means because I haven't finished the course yet. It means that there was an effective time, meaning that there's a difference. If you average across all three of these groups, then people remembered more words immediately after memorizing them than after a 1 week delay. Why does that make sense? Why do you remember more words immediately after memorizing them? What happened during the week? Well, you forgot some words. So a week later, yeah, you're not going to remember as many as you did right after. But, and there were differences among all three of these methods, meaning if you average across these times, the Monopoly group's better than the methyloci group, which is better than the phonetic peg group. But two of these actually decreased over time, and one of them didn't decrease significantly. And that means that the effect of time, right, is different for the methyloci group than it is for the other two groups. But that's exam 3 material. Okay. Discussion. Don't read the discussion. I'm done reading the paper. I don't want to know what Schoen said about it because when I'm writing my article summary, right, it's my words. I want to do the writing. So let's start it. Now we're going to go back to what I was writing before, and I'm not going to look at what Schoen wrote. I'm just going to look at my notes. Why don't they make these things bigger? Okay. All right. So don't look at that. Well, this guy wanted to show students a cool memory aid. That's not really part of his experiment, right? He's testing a new memory aid based on a Monopoly board. Okay, cool. He cited Higbee to illustrate the 4 things a good memory aid has. I just don't think that that's important. So I'm just going to delete these things. How to teach memory to students. Not part, but it's part of his rationale. Okay. Description of the methyloci. Says he will demonstrate a memory aid. Oh, and that's his description of the methyloci. So I'm going to write about what I remembered about it. So methyloci is using locations along a familiar path as, I don't know, what do you call those? As cues to recall items to be remembered. Well, recall items. All right. The phonetic peg is a complicated code using numbers coding for sounds. You match new words to words to be remembered. You use a number code to memorize the code word list. Methyloci is not ideal for an in-class demo. Phonetic peg is complicated. used the Monopoly board as a method of loci map, and here's how it was tested. All right, so that gets into the methods thing, and this is the results, and then I'll write a discussion. So how would we actually do this? Well, let's do this. We need to write the following things for our article summary. We need to do an intro where we explain the rationale. Why was the study done? We need to do a methods section, a method section. What was done? What was tested? We need to do a results section. What happened? And then the conclusion. I didn't read his discussion. I want to know what you guys think the results mean. What does this mean? Okay, so it's hard. Not everybody is used to writing in this way, where you outline stuff first and then you sort of fill things in. But I think it makes things a lot easier. So let's give it a shot. See if you can get it to work for you. Why was the study done? So I'm just going to make some bullet points here. Schoen invented Monopoly. Used the Monopoly board. I'm not even looking at my notes right now. Maybe we should go back and look at the notes. Use the Monopoly board as a method of loci map. And it's a new memory aid, and it's to teach memory to students. But if you're going to say it's a method of loci map, and you're writing to somebody who's never read this paper, you need to explain what the method of loci is. So I'm going to do that first. Really, in the demonstration, he's teaching students about the method, about memory and mnemonics. But in the evaluation, he's actually testing it. He wants to compare. He really wanted to test the effectiveness of Monopoly. I wish he had come up with a better word for that. Wanted to test the effectiveness of Monopoly and compared with method of loci using a campus map and phonetic peg system using a second word list. And then somewhere in here, I'm going to have to explain what the phonetic peg system is, and good luck with that. Okay. Method. So what is it? We have 3 groups, 8 students per group. Memorized 40 words using, I'm just going to abbreviate it, Monopoly, phonetic peg, or method of loci. They did 2 recall times, immediate and 1 week, after 1 week. That's it. That's pretty much it for the methods. Oh, they were given 10 minutes. Hey, I'm starting to have something to write about. I had this big blank page in front of me, and now I'm wondering if I can fit it all into one page. What happened? Well, the Monopoly group recalled more words than method of loci group or the phonetic peg group, and that was significant at both time points. But the Monopoly group, the method of loci group didn't forget a significant number of words. I don't know how big a deal that is, though. I want to think about that some more. What does that mean? I don't know. Let's think about it. It means that the Monopoly method works, for one thing. It's better than the method loci. It's better than the phonetic peg, but probably because phonetic peg is too complicated to use in 10 minutes, don't you think? So I want to say something about that. Maybe we could apply this somehow. Maybe use it in classes where, let's see, classes where memorization is useful. Vocabulary, like a language class or something like that. I don't know. Like if you have vocab to learn for like Spanish class or something, you could use the Monopoly method to memorize 10, 20, 30, 40 words and visualize those, make all those associations between the vocab and those other things. Okay. We've only got 5 minutes left, so I don't know how far we're going to get. But this is a way to perhaps structure, and sorry, I can zoom in on this a little bit more, that first pass at organizing the material for the article summary. Yes?
So when you're writing this paper, do you actually label it, like the intro, the method?
No. In fact, that's in the instructions to not use headings and things like that. This is my outline for what I'm going to start writing. In fact, so I would show you sort of what I would do. I would come down here and just finish my introductory paragraph. I would say something like, it says explain what the method of loci is. Method of loci, and I'm going to abbreviate that for the rest of the paper, involves associating items to be remembered with locations along a specific, along a very well-known path. Recall involves, let's see, to recall the items one sort of imagines, how about one mentally traces the path and imagines the items at their associated locations. Cool. Okay, I explained the method loci. 2 sentences, not bad. Shown, and then I want to cite the paper. This is 96. Evaluated this method by comparing it to. No. He not evaluated. He created a version or modified the method of loci in which it's not in which, it's really by which a Monopoly board is used, or I'll maintain the same tense, was used as the map. Or no, it's not a map, it's a path. He evaluated this new mnemonic by comparing it with a more standard method of loci involving the use of campus maps and a more complicated mnemonic, the phonetic peg system. Now, next I would describe the phonetic peg system, and then get into the method of how he compared all of these things. And that flows nicely. Did you see how it flows right into the method section? Because I said, here's what he wanted to do, and then the next paragraph is here's how he did it. Questions? Comments? Yeah.
Is there anything specific you want, like in the header of the paper, or just?
No, but I do want everybody's name to appear as the file name. So you can type like AS1 and then your last name. Last name is fine. I don't think there's any overlap in this group. And then I'll know, because I don't want to download a whole bunch of documents to my folder and then it says like article summary 1, article summary 1. Then I don't. So I need your name somewhere. And if you want to put your name in the header too, that's totally fine. Later we'll talk about the APA style of title pages and headers and footers and things.
Really stupid question. What do you mean by header? Like, where does that go in the picture?
So the header is so in a document, the part that I'm highlighting right now, this is the body of the document, but there's space to put like page numbers and header information up above the body. In fact, do you see that little box that's appearing there? So that's technically called the header. You can access it in Microsoft Word. I don't know if you use the Apple Pages thing or anything, but you can get there by just clicking on it, and then you can start typing stuff in the header, right? And then it appears on every page after that. So you can see that on the next page, well, if we had another page, the same stuff appears up there. You can also access it through the insert menu, so you can insert and then go to header and footer. At least that's the way you do it in Microsoft Word. Maybe it's in edit. No, format. No. Well, I do it by just clicking on it, and you can click on it in Word too. Most of the time, header stuff is aligned to the right side. You can do things like insert page numbers and things like that. That's in the APA style, and then on the next page, it does it automatically for you. Pretty cool. Yep. In my day, we had to illuminate manuscripts with paints in the monastery and put the page number. No, not really. So yeah, that's it. What I'll try to do is keep fleshing this out a little bit better, and maybe show you guys my finished product of my article summary of showing. So that's that.